What's up, guys? Welcome back. I know it's been a minute. Hey, I'm Kitty, and this is Hey Kitty. Thank you to all of my 22 subscribers. Shout out to you guys because most of you know me, and a lot of you have encouraged this video and have encouraged me to come back instead of me crying to you that I want to make YouTube videos. So basically, if you watched my previous videos, even though I keep saying this is going to be a makeup channel, this is more of my video diary channel. Currently, we're just gonna tell stories. These aren't clickbait, these are real. These are all real events that happen to me. And I'm here to share them with you for a couple different reasons. One is that I realized something about myself in the past couple months is that I'm not as vulnerable as I would like to believe that I am. And while I experience a lot, I tend to hold a lot of that internally and fight a lot of my own battles alone. And people really close to me often don't even know what I go through. And last Friday, I made a Facebook post about a hula hoop friend that I had that stopped being my friend for a multitude of reasons. But the final event was because I was purchasing a fire hoop from another hula hooper in the Facebook marketplace. True story. So, we're back to telling stories. These aren't clickbait. These aren't meant to get attention. These aren't meant to have you watch my content. I realized last Friday after sharing that story about the hula hooper that these are therapeutic for me. Me crying in my car obviously was therapeutic for me. I keep saying that I want to be a content creator and I don't know what kind of content to create. Well, how about the content of my life? So basically, please subscribe to me. This is an adult channel. This video itself might not be adult themed, but we will be discussing adult topics. And by the way, if you know me in real life, please subscribe. But you might learn some things about me you didn't know or you didn't see coming. Not that any of it's bad or illegal or that I fake who I am, but I tend to be more private of a person than I believe. So if you learn something new about me here, let's talk about it if you have any questions. But today, we're going to get right into it because I hate long intros. We're going to talk about Christopher and how we met. Christopher will now be the name that I will use for my ex-boyfriend in Georgia, just for legal reasons. Any and all stories I tell from here on out, basically all the names of places and people will be changed. The story today is a two-parter. It involves how my car got keyed and how I met Christopher. I will try my best to keep you guys not confused in the story. But let's go. All right. Let's take some water first. Get hydrated. All right. So about a year ago, I worked in an Italian restaurant, and we'll just call this restaurant Italian X. And I'd been at Italian X for about a year, and the staff was relatively small comparatively to other restaurants I've worked at. There wasn't a lot of us. We were all basically friends. You know, of course, there's going to be a couple of people here and there that don't get along, but we're all basically friends, really close friends. So I'd been there for about a year, and like I said, I'm going to try my best to keep you guys not confused because there's a lot of back detail into this that is important, but it's not, I don't want to make this video 37 hours long. Anyways, so I had a friend who was also like a server acting manager. We'll call her Stacy. Stacy and I were supposed to be really good friends. Shout out to Tiffany and all the girls at Restaurant X who told me for a long time that Stacy was not really my friend because she wasn't. Anyways, so Stacy was cheating on her husband. Stacy was cheating on her husband, the guy we worked with. We'll call him Matt. I liked Matt. I had no business liking Matt. Matt was not a good person. Matt was a piece of shit. Excuse my language, YouTube. Anyways, there's a long backstory, but Matt and Stacy were pretty much fucking around. Well, Stacy was married, whatever. Okay, we got that out of the way. So I had another group of friends who were kind of like in this group with us. They were dating. They were a couple. We're just going to call them Michael and Sarah. Okay? So Michael and Sarah had been dating for a while. Sarah and Matt, the dude I had no business liking, knew each other from a previous restaurant before. So I always noticed that like Sarah and Matt like had like this weird thing together and were like always super flirtatious, and it made me uncomfortable, and even Sarah's boyfriend had noticed it and all this kind of stuff, whatever. I'm the type of person who's going to call people out on their bullshit. I actually learned a lot from this situation and realized that sometimes, even though I feel like people should be called out on their bullshit, that maybe you shouldn't, because this is probably how my car got keyed. Anyways, I don't want to get too much into that detail because I'm going to start to get confused on who's who since I'm changing names. But basically, all you need to know is Stacy's not really my friend, and that Matt is a piece of shit guy who worked in our kitchen, who was a fuckboy, pretty much. Again, sorry YouTube, it's not like I'm going to be monetized anyways. So he was the kind of guy that if a new piece of meat woman started there, didn't matter age, size, anything, Matt didn't care. Was on it. Whatever. I had to watch this shit all the time. Why did I like this guy? I don't know. It was dumb. Okay. So all this shit goes down, right? Where basically I called out Stacy for cheating on her husband with Matt. And before you guys are like, oh, well, how do you know she was cheating on her husband? You weren't there. Listen to me, okay? So Matt would give Stacy rides to work, and we only were open at night for dinner service. So we'd get off work, let's say between 11 and midnight. I like to go to this bar one town over and hang out. Pretty much all of us did. So when Matt and Stacy are hanging out in the same bar I'm hanging out at 2 o'clock in the morning after work, and Stacy's husband is not there with us, who, by the way, I've met him, girl, hello. Okay, so the reason I really trip out is one day, it was around March, Dave Matthews Band is coming to town. BT Dubs, it's okay if you do, girl. Just a little bit side note about me. I am not a Dave Matthews Band fan. Hell to the nah. So anyways, so Matt buys Stacy tickets to Dave Matthews Band. Gross. And I like pretty much told Stacy, because I had to learn the lesson of just because you feel like you should speak your truth doesn't mean you should always speak your truth. That basically I told her that I thought she was a shit ass person and that I was her friend, and it was gross that she would cheat on her husband with Matt. And by the way, Stacy and her husband both had cheated on each other before. And like, I don't know, they both like did that terrible nasty thing where they both tried to justify it. I've never been married. I don't know. I have my own opinions on that. So we're not going to go onto that rant. But basically, that's all you need to know. They're cheating. Matt buys Stacy Dave Matthews Band tickets. 2 of them for Matt and Stacy to go together, not Stacy and her husband. Me, I'm like, what the fuck? That's bullshit. Okay, so back to the other couple. So apparently one day at work, which I never found out the true reason for this, swear to you, I made this other couple, or this other girl, Sarah, angry. Sarah liked Matt as well. Okay? Okay? So apparently, Sarah, this is the story I was told by Sarah's now ex-boyfriend, and also the owner of Restaurant X, who got involved after I got the police involved, who didn't want me to sue the restaurant or to take him to court, and was thankful that my car got keyed off camera. This is the type of toxic place I worked for. So both Sarah's ex-boyfriend and the owner of Restaurant X basically told me the same story, which matches up. Long story short, apparently one night I had made Sarah angry. Side backstory on Sarah. Sarah is 21 years old, basically has a drug problem, Her grandparents kicked her out, so now she's living with the 33-year-old boyfriend, who's my age. I don't remember what we called him. Sorry. So Sarah's got her own issues. Sarah's not mature in any kind of way. So Sarah goes to the now ex-boyfriend, gets a wine key because we do wine service being an Italian restaurant, and goes up to my passenger door twice on my car and keys it all the way down. All the way. I had no idea until a couple of days later when my roommate comes home and shout out to Tiffany. Hey, I finally made the video. And it was like, hey, bro, did you like hit a tree or something? And I'm like, no, why? She's like, well, there's these big scratches on the side of your car. I was like, what? So go outside and I check it, and yeah, and sure enough, and I realized, no, that wasn't a tree. I got keyed. Like, if I post this link on video, I'll post the pictures down below because my car's still keyed. You can see it. My car was keyed with a wine key. Not just a little, but twice. From the beginning of my mirror, side mirror, all the way down to my trunk. Twice. I'm mad. I'm livid. I take pictures of it and I immediately text owner of Restaurant X, and I'm like, yo, dude, hello. The only places I've been in the past 48 hours is at work and my house. And not to tell you where I live, but trust me, at my house, with the type of family I live with, ain't nobody coming on this property we don't know about. Just saying. So the only place this could have happened was at my job. Happened on property, off camera. So what do? When manager of Restaurant X claims he's going to handle this situation, I don't believe him. So I go to the local police station of the town this happened in and file a police report immediately. And I don't remember why I thought something had happened where I thought my car got keyed by a completely different person at my job. She has not even been mentioned in the story at all. She had nothing to do with this. But for some reason, and I don't remember why now because it was a year ago, I was led to believe by the group of people who actually knew and keyed my car that this other girl had done it. So much to the point that on the police report, I named her as a suspect, and they put this poor girl in the system. I know that was bad on my part, and don't worry, I went back and I fixed it, and I fixed the police report and everything when I found that out. But you are going to make someone believe that after you've damaged their property that someone else did it, so that person goes and files a police report on someone who had nothing to do with it? And you know that I filed a police report on this other girl because I told you. Okay, all right. So I go back to work the next day with the police report for Restaurant X owner. Stacy, remember my friend Stacy, the server / restaurant manager that pretty much everyone told me was not really my friend, who's cheating on her husband, the whole Dave Matthews Band tickets thing. Okay, so Stacy knew Christopher. I knew Stacy had known Christopher. Stacy had mentioned Christopher before. She'd known him for like 12 years. I know that she had worked for him in his business in South Dakota about 5 years prior. And yeah, that's just where that is with that. Hold on. No, not hold on. Okay. Okay. Sorry. I'm getting emotional now. Okay. So basically, when Stacy finds out that A, I'm going to tell her husband that she's cheating on him, and B, I have filed now a police report on my car getting keyed and think it's this whole other girl, Stacy wants to cover her tracks. And what I'm about to tell you I know is real because I've had 2 people tell me who are involved in this story, including Sarah's ex-boyfriend, that the purpose that Stacy had of all this, what's about to transpire, was to get rid of me, was to make me leave my job, was to basically push me out because I was basically starting stuff. because I knew too much. So I'm upset and I'm at work and I'm telling Stacy about my car getting keyed. Out of nowhere, after a year and a half of friendship, during this particular conversation, Stacy looks me dead in the face, stops me, and she goes, and mind you, it's like a little bit after Valentine's Day. She looks me dead in the face. She goes, you know what I just thought of? And I was like, what? Oh my God, what? And she was like, I should introduce you to my friend Christopher. And I was like, the airplane pilot? But he lives in Georgia. And I'm here in Alabama. And I've been single for like a long time now. And I don't know, maybe. And she's like, no, I think you guys would hit it off so well. I know he's a little bit older than you, and I know he lives far away. She's like, why don't you come back later tonight after the shift, and I'll let you guys talk on the phone and see if you like each other. And I'm like, oh, I don't know. Like, actually, funny story about this too. And if any of the Darski's Angels are watching this, shout out to y'all. I'm going to do a story about how everyone at Restaurant X didn't believe any of y'all were real. But anyways, I had a date that involved someone from Darski's Angels. And Stacy knew this that night. So I told Stacy, I said, I don't really date, and I have this date, and I kind of want to see where this date goes. Stacy's like, sure, no problem. And dude, who I'm talking about here, if you by some reason found this video and are watching it, I'm sorry. If you had any questions about anything, this video is dedicated to you. Anyway, so I go on the date with dude. I had a good time, but it's me. And I want to know what this cosmic event could be with this other person named Christopher. So I go back up to Restaurant X and they're closing. And Stacy pulls out her iPhone, calls Christopher, puts me on speakerphone, and walks out the room. Me and Christopher hit it off. We have nothing in common. He's almost 10 years older than me. He's in Georgia to become an airplane pilot. He used to own a telecom business. Never been to music festivals, doesn't hula hoop. I had no business even starting a relationship with this person. But I guess even though that I kept telling myself I wasn't desperate, I think I had been single so long that he said all the right things he knew to say to get to me. I willingly went into the situation, but when I talk about him further, if I do, a lot of manipulation was involved from the gate, from Stacy and from Christopher. So basically, me and Christopher start getting to know each other. We hit it off really well, really well. So about a month goes by, and Stacy's proud of herself. I mean, just smitten, because now she's got my attention off of her and Matt, which I'll agree with you guys should have been not on her in the first place. I should have walked away from both of them and just been like, you know what, this is toxic. I have no business even being remotely interested in this. But you know what, lesson learned, this is how I handled it. So, Stacy's proud of herself. So about a month goes by and it becomes Easter time. So Christopher's going to come down from Georgia and we're going to finally meet. And it's awesome. My family, my aunt and uncle, I was about to say my parents, but they're like pretty much my second set of parents, are coming down from Virginia to visit me as well for Easter. Because if you know me, Easter is my favorite holiday besides Halloween. Why? Couldn't tell you, but it is. Easter is a really big deal to me. Easter is bigger than Christmas, even though it's the resurrection of Jesus. Anyways, it just is. So Christopher comes down and he makes this big ordeal for me and my aunt and uncle. And we think everything's great and how he's this awesome man and his manners are so polite and he's so good to me and he's saying all the right things and everything's wonderful. And I finally found a good partner and my aunt and uncle are in love with him to the point where we've only spent 4 days together, and my aunt is referring to him as her new son-in-law. And quick side note, my aunt had met other boyfriends before who she loved and liked, but never on the level of Christopher. because Christopher put up a really good facade. Christopher made me learn a lot about people and intentions and what a narcissist is. I'm not saying that I'm a great person and that I don't have flaws, but yeah. So, anyways, so the point of this whole story is Stacy eventually gets her wish. About a month later, maybe about a month and a half later in May, Christopher convinces me that Restaurant X is a toxic environment, and it is, that I should quit, and that I should move to Georgia to be with him. And I listen to him, and I do exactly that. I text the other manager, who's also a server, and I basically tell him that I quit, and I'm moving to Georgia to be with Christopher, and I'm not coming back. And all he texted me back was, wow. And I'll never forget that. And I packed a bag, and I got Pepper. Pepper's my dog. And me and Pepper drove that night to Georgia. And I had officially quit my job. And I went up to see Christopher so we could talk. And he convinced me to come home for about a week or two, take some time to pack my things, and that he'd come down and help me move. And that happened, not necessarily like that, but that happened. That's a whole nother story that we'll get into because this video is already going to get longer than I would like. So, yeah. So I go to Georgia. I'll make my Georgia experience another video, but after Georgia, we're at the point now where you and I have re-met here on YouTube back in September. I went out to that bar that I would go to all the time in Hula Hoop out. Shout out to them. If you guys watch this on Facebook, this might explain to you guys why I didn't come around a lot after I moved back. I'm sorry. I love you. Please forgive me. Anyone who watches this and has a lot of questions about why I maybe disappeared, please forgive me. I was going through a lot. I'm going to cry, but we're not going to cry. So when I come back, I've been back about a week, maybe 2, and I've run into Sarah's ex-boyfriend at that bar, and he basically looks me dead in the face, and he goes, you know Stacy set you up, right? You know Sarah, his ex-girlfriend, keyed my car. I was asking too many questions about who keyed my car, about Stacy, about Matt. Basically, I needed to be gotten rid of. So the plan was intentionally to set me up with Christopher, who Stacy had known for 12 years and knew that A, was mentally unstable. Christopher admittedly has multiple personality disorder. One of the reasons I'm so easily able to call him Christopher is because that is one of his direct personalities. He was being investigated, and this is a real article. If you don't believe me, I can show it to you. This is 100% true. This is why my video is not clickbait. He was investigated by the police in 2012 because he was related to a schizophrenic family member who had a gun, who should not have had a gun, who killed a police officer on his property. And Christopher was one of the family members that was investigated by the police on a deep level on why this family member who was mentally unstable had the gun in the first place. And that is why Christopher skipped town and opened up a telecom business in South Dakota. And that's just a little bit on the background of Christopher. So Stacy knew all this. She knew he was ex-military. She knew that he was basically unstable and dangerous. And she knew who I was and where I was at in life, and wanted to get rid of me. And she did. And it worked. And when I saw Sarah's boyfriend at that bar, I knew he wasn't lying to me. And I knew he wasn't lying to me for 2 reasons. A, it all 100 totally made sense. And B, like, why would you lie about that? Because he was involved. Come to find out, Sarah's ex-boyfriend knew that my car was keyed with a wine key because Sarah had used his wine key at work to key my car. Sarah's ex-boyfriend tried to tell me that he didn't know that's what Sarah was doing. I don't know. That part of the story I don't care about, because you know what? Forget all of you. All of you can GTFO. Like, really. I hope I never see any of you again. Side note, shout out to Kelly. I actually saw Stacy in Walmart. What was that, like Tuesday night? We were like down like the medicine aisle. And the only reason I ran from you, Stacy, if you somehow find this YouTube video or someone knows you, is because I would have blacked out. Not because of what you would have said, because what I would have said. I knew one of two things were going to happen. You were non-confrontational, and unfortunately I am. So either you would have completely ignored me, or you would have tried to come in with your fake ass bullshit and try to be nice to my face, and I probably would have gotten arrested because I would have blacked out from all the things I would have wanted to do and say, because Christopher was dangerous. A lot of bad things happened in Georgia. I'm not saying that I wasn't a responsible adult and I couldn't take care of myself. And I'm not saying I was physically abused in any way. But I am saying that I made it through the gates of hell and I survived. And maybe later on, I've thought about doing a video on domestic violence from an emotional sense, because domestic violence is real in a lot of ways. And just because someone doesn't hit you doesn't mean that it's not domestic violence. So before we get into all that, yeah, basically that's the end of that story. My car is still keyed. It never got fixed. And yeah, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name's Kitty. I hope to continue to do story time with you. Maybe we can do this every Friday. I'd actually like to do it more. But if you're here, thank you. Thank you for watching this and allowing me to have therapy time. And I promise all my stories won't be sad. But I do have a piece of advice for anyone out there. Always love yourself and always trust your gut instinct. And as terrible as this is going to say, because I'm a peace and love and light person, and I've always been like, everybody's your friend. No, baby. I hate to be a cynic, because I'm not a cynical person. But love yourself enough to know who is real and who isn't. And just words of advice, if your car gets keyed, there's way bigger light and things in life than that. I was so hyper-focused on that happening that I almost attracted bad energy into my life. So it's just the car. I'm here with you now. It's 2019. Everything's okay because some cool ass shit's about to happen. But I love you guys. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you, Tiffany and Kelly, for pushing me to make this video. And hopefully we'll keep up with the schedule like we're supposed to. Bye.